Glenn Parker High Vibration Foundation. I wanted to talk about the idea of love, not necessarily unconditional love, but just those ideas probably married together. One was an idea from KYRON that actually says that, besides being literally made of love and light, there's an idea that between the nucleus and other aspects of the atomic structure that you are is literally made of love. That's the glue that keeps it together. So before the Planck scale and upward into the idea of rotating atoms around the electrons, this area that we see as empty is actually bound together by love, and they're always wondering what the hell glues that together. It's love. Imagine that. I'm sure scientists would appreciate that. I'm sure love might be able to be quantized a little bit more to make them a little happier, but I thought that was just funny and interesting. This idea of unconditional love, that you are, that the greater consciousness that you are, the greater being that you are, that is impossible as a whole being in this space-time reality, in this particular moment, and between these density shifts of third and fourth density, are not possible to experience in full. And I've heard it basically described that the human body, or any physicality body, couldn't experience the entirety of love as it is from the source. You just pop out of your existence. I liken it to the idea of in the Bible, where they say that you can't look into the face of God, for instance, that you would die, pop out of your existence. Liken it to that idea. From a physics standpoint, it is basically you burn out the light bulb. You put so much electricity, light, and energy through the body that it would just, you would just pop out of your existence and go back into non-physical, because you would potentiate back to your full and natural holistic self and just be gone. Game over. Well, at least the physical game, not the whole game. The game is never over. You have an infinite amount of men. You can go and play over and over and over and over again. And you can choose to even have your own galaxy and all the rules and regulations thereof, and beings can come and play in that galaxy, and you can have that experience of being the galaxy and experiencing all the beings in it. It is truly endless. It is something that goes on forever, and you're just remembering the beginning states of that. And I listened just a little while ago to something from KYRON, Old Soul, if I remember correctly, and he was talking about that you were made of love and light, but that you were, the physical properties that bind you together is love. The source gives off love and light constantly, wave after wave after wave. And they start to come through more and more as time goes on. And the more that you can recognize what and who you are and give more love to others, the more you make it available to other people and to planetary consciousness as a whole. You're literally raising the frequency of the planet. TReb talks about this as well, that light workers and grid workers, as they're going through their day, and Pleiadian Collective talked about this as well. It's like, I'm just going to go and spread a little love today. I go get some groceries and send out some love, and as you're walking through the planetary grid and you give off more love, you make it more available and you raise collective consciousness. So don't forget that you're that powerful, that you do make a contribution, and the fact that we did decide to take a different direction in this collective consciousness than has been taken before, to go a more peaceful route and to go through, give us the opportunity to go through the gate of 2012, to pass the threshold, the bridge that had never been passed before, that other experiments in this galaxy didn't make it. So this idea of spreading love and walking through the grid, just be more aware of that and just be more conscious that is what you're doing to help other people. There's that idea of helping collective consciousness. There's an exercise that Bashar has, the sacred circuitry. It's the only exercise that I've heard that he specifically says that it doesn't need to be shared or anything to help collective consciousness that in that by doing and using those and accelerating your personal matrix, that you are accelerating the entire matrix concurrently. Now you're doing that in smaller ways, as TReb and others have said, that, you know, as you spread your love through the grid, that it perpetuates itself. But the sacred circuitry is unique in that it's more accelerative on a collective consciousness scale, which is kind of interesting. So love, just remembering and being more aware of your surroundings, being more aware that the person next to you is an extension of source energy. It is a friend. It is someone that you chose to come on this journey together. Anyone you experience in this space-time reality is by agreement. You're putting them there. You're literally making your universe and everything in it. So you're putting them there. They're physically there as a representation, as that reflection by your permission and by agreement with them, by their permission. So it's someone that you knew on a higher level that you wanted to have an experience. Maybe it was just to exchange some ideas or some information quantumly when you came into contact, not even verbally. And to exchange a little love. Some of them, you know, are putting challenges in there for you. Other ones are friends and lovers and long-term relationships and business partners and all these other fantastic things, personal trainers and all these things that in physical reality you don't need to work out. You don't need to worry about your muscles. You don't need to worry about your cardio or your heart blowing out when you're 65, that you need to exercise so that it will last into the far distant future as possible. These things aren't necessary. These are the challenges that you wanted. And you do them more in love and recognize that everybody is one, that everything is one, that it is truly one thing, experiencing itself as many things, as everything and anything, infinitely on and on and on in every parallel reality that you can possibly imagine. Every idea that's born within that idea, every possibility that's possible within that idea has a physically real reality somewhere that is being lived out by those who wanted to have that experience. And it will tire your brain out if you think about it too long, but just to think that it's on and on and on and on and on to a degree that would be experienced by a being that, you know, you couldn't assign a number to in the way of frequency, that their frequency is so high that, you know, this just would be a number and an experience that would not be congruent with physical experience. Let's just put it that way. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just not physically possible to put that much electricity through the light bulb without it going poof and popping back into non-physical reality. But there are many that are having that experience now that are kind of getting into it more and more. So this bounces around a little bit, but I think it still stays on the topic of love and recognizing that you are love and recognizing that you should give love. Not should, but when you recognize that you are love and that everybody is one and that you know the other person on a higher level, that if you give them love, you give them the ability to mirror that back to you and to at least help them love themselves a little bit more and to realize that there is more kindness in the world and to realize that there are things that are happening that you don't see in the greater media right now that are fantastic, that are very good for the environment. People are being a lot more mindful. There's a lot more happening than you would see in, you know, the more fantastic eyes, if that's a word, larger media. There's a lot more things happening on a scale that are really, really good for humanity and that are really nice that you really aren't seeing yet. You shall, not quite seeing them yet. Well, I think that's everything I wanted to share on the idea of love and being more than your love. Now, there's many, many, many ways. There's many, many, many different types of permission slips to get there. Find the one that's most exciting for you. I'm not going to tell you. I can give you hints of what is good for me and what has helped me in the past, and there are videos on that I've done. But it really is finding the one that resonates best with you, with your matrix, with who you really are, and following that excitement to its end as much as you can, and then on the next item, and then the next item, so find permission slips that work for you. That's effectively what I would say, is just like all the other channels say, is find something that works for you. You know, don't try to duplicate somebody else's. If you feel that that's within your excitement and you want to try what they're using, so be it. That's great. But make sure it's within your excitement. Don't be rigid just for being rigid, because those types of systems are breaking down. It's not going to work anymore. It doesn't work that way anymore. Things are a lot more fluent. That's just, they don't meet the satisfaction of the human mind for having congruency. A fourth density reality isn't congruent. It is here and here and here and here and here, and it makes sense to the larger mind, but the human mind, they're like, wait, what's going on? You know, the ego's like, hey, I'm supposed to keep you safe, and all this stuff is happening, and I have no idea what's going on, and I'm not a happy camper. So always ego negotiation and things of that nature. Again, find the things that excite you the most and follow them. Thank you very much. Love and light, and have a fantastic day.